If your doctor recently told you that your creatinine has crept above 1.2, or if you have been waking up swollen around your eyes, dragging yourself through the afternoon even after a full night's sleep, or noticing that your urine looks darker and foamier than it did a year ago, then I need you to pause everything you were doing and stay with me for the next few minutes. Because what I am about to walk you through could genuinely shift the path your kidneys are on right now. And I want to be very honest with you about what this is not. This is not a video telling you that one strange root from the Amazon will erase your creatinine by morning. This is not a hack. This is not a trick. And anyone telling you that a single food dropped into a smoothie reversed years of kidney damage in a week is selling you something that does not exist. What I am going to share is rooted in the kind of published research that kidney specialists like me have been building treatment plans around for the past 2 decades. Guidance informed by the National Kidney Foundation, by peer-reviewed journals, and by what I see work inside my own practice week after week. No shortcuts, no fairy tales, just the most powerful nutritional truths anyone facing rising creatinine can use starting today. And before I give you the 5 vegetables, I want to give you a single 90-second story about your kidneys. Because once you understand what is actually happening on the inside, every vegetable on this list will stop looking like food and start looking like medicine. Creatinine. You see that word on every lab report your doctor prints out, and most people treat it like background noise. But it is actually the most honest number your lab gives you. Every minute of every day, your muscles burn fuel to keep you moving, brushing your teeth, climbing the stairs, getting out of a chair. And creatinine is the leftover ash from that burning. It sloshes around in your bloodstream until 2 fist-sized organs called kidneys pull it out and dump it down into your urine. Healthy kidneys handle that job using roughly 1 million microscopic filters inside each kidney. These filters have a name, and the name matters. They are called nephrons. Inside every nephron is a tiny tangle of blood vessels called a glomerulus, and that tangle is where the actual straining happens. Here is what most people never hear spoken out loud. As you age, especially after 60, those filters take a beating. High blood pressure pounds on them. High blood sugar stiffens them. Chronic low-grade inflammation slowly scars them. When enough nephrons scar over, the filtering slows down. The creatinine your muscles keep producing all day no longer exits the body fast enough. It accumulates in your blood, and that is why the number on your lab report starts climbing past 1.2, past 1.5, past where you ever wanted it to be. More than 37 million adults in the United States are living with some form of chronic kidney disease right now, and a frightening percentage of them have no idea because the early stages barely whisper. But the good news, and I want you to hear this loudly, is that your creatinine number is not just a score of damage you have already suffered. It also responds to 2 levers sitting in your own hands every single day. The first lever is reducing the burden of waste and salt you are asking your kidneys to process. The second lever is reducing the ongoing oxidative and inflammatory damage that is chewing on your remaining filters. Every single vegetable I am about to give you pulls on one or both of those levers. Less work going in, less destruction happening inside, more nephrons holding their ground. That is the entire game, and your fork gets to vote. Vegetable number 1 is the humble onion, and I can almost hear some of you rolling your eyes because onions feel boring. They feel like background work. But for a kidney under stress, onions are quietly one of the most useful foods in your entire kitchen. Let me show you why. Onions are naturally low in potassium, hovering around 120 milligrams in a half-cup serving once they are cooked. They are also low in phosphorus, low in sodium, and that combination of low potassium and low phosphorus is the exact profile your kidneys are begging you to stay inside of. Most kidney guidelines ask patients to keep their daily potassium between 1,500 and 2,700 milligrams, depending on how much kidney function remains, and to keep phosphorus low enough that weak bones and stiff blood vessels do not become a second problem on top of the first one. Onions fit comfortably inside that window, without any of the anxiety that comes with tracking every gram. But the real magic of the onion sits underneath the skin. Onions carry a powerful plant pigment called quercetin, a flavonoid that researchers have studied extensively because of how it behaves inside inflamed tissue. Quercetin works as both an antioxidant and an anti-inflammatory. It calms down the unstable molecules we call free radicals that rust the inside of your filters, and it quiets the inflammatory signals that tell your damaged kidney tissue to keep scarring itself. A review published in the journal Pharmacological Research found that quercetin supplementation reduced markers of oxidative stress in kidney tissue by significant margins in multiple independent studies. That is the second lever doing its work. On top of that, onions contain sulfur compounds that gently support your body's natural detoxification pathways, helping your liver share some of the metabolic load that would otherwise land on your kidneys. And unlike some other beneficial foods, onions are incredibly patient in the kitchen. They will hold their nutrition whether you sauté them slowly until they caramelize and turn sweet, roast them whole alongside your evening protein, or eat them raw sliced thin into a salad. The big mistake I see constantly is the caramelized onion shortcut sold in jars at the grocery store, because those jars are loaded with sodium and sometimes sugar to keep them shelf-stable. 1 tablespoon of that jarred version can carry 100 to 150 milligrams of sodium that you did not budget for, and over a few servings, that sneaky sodium quietly undoes everything the natural onion was doing for you. Slice them fresh at home, cook them low and slow in a teaspoon of olive oil, and let the natural sweetness come out on its own without anyone's help. Onions do not need rescuing. Vegetable number 2 is the cucumber, and yes, I am being completely serious. The cucumber is one of the most underrated foods in the entire kidney-friendly playbook, and I want to walk you through why it deserves a permanent spot on your shopping list. The first thing to understand is the water content. A cucumber is roughly 95% water by weight. That sounds like nothing. But for a kidney that is struggling to manage fluid balance, eating your water in the form of a vegetable is fundamentally different from drinking it in the form of a tall glass. The water inside cucumber is bound up inside the plant cells, so it reaches your bloodstream gradually and gently, instead of all at once. That matters because damaged kidneys often have a hard time keeping up with sudden fluid loads, which is why many kidney patients are told to count and limit their fluids. Cucumber slides past that limitation while still helping you stay hydrated. Then there is the mineral profile, and it is one of the cleanest you will ever see. A half cup of sliced cucumber contains only about 75 milligrams of potassium, making it one of the lowest potassium vegetables you can buy in any grocery store. It is also low in phosphorus, low in sodium, and very gentle on the workload of a struggling kidney. You can add it freely to sandwiches, salads, and snacks without any of the mental math that other foods require. Research published in the Journal of Renal Nutrition showed that plant-forward foods with naturally high water content were associated with better hydration biomarkers and lower reported fluid retention in older adults with mild kidney impairment. Where cucumber really shines, however, is in one very specific role. It is the perfect snack food. If you have been told to give up salty chips, salty pretzels, and processed crackers because of their sodium load, cucumber slices dipped in a thin smear of homemade hummus, or a light yogurt-based dip give you that same crunch and satisfaction without the kidney damage. A single ounce of salted pretzels carries 350 to 450 milligrams of sodium. The same weight of fresh cucumber delivers essentially 0. That swap, made a few times a week, can quietly save you over 1,000 milligrams of daily sodium by the end of the month. One thing to watch. Cucumbers sold as packaged, pre-sliced snack packs at the convenience store often come pre-dressed with salt, vinegar, or other flavorings that drive the sodium higher than you would expect. Buy them whole, wash them at home, slice them yourself, and you control everything that touches them. Vegetable number 3 is zucchini, and this one earns its place partly because of how easy it makes your life in the kitchen. Zucchini, sometimes called courgette in other countries, is one of those vegetables that you can do almost anything with. You can spiralize it into noodles, you can shred it raw into muffins and breads, you can slice it into thick coins and grill it, roast it, or pan-sear it, and no matter how you prepare it, your kidneys barely have to lift a finger to process it. Let me give you the numbers. A half cup of cooked zucchini contains around 180 milligrams of potassium and roughly 35 milligrams of phosphorus. Both numbers sit comfortably inside the daily limits that most kidney specialists set for patients in the early to middle stages of chronic kidney disease. And zucchini is naturally low in sodium, which means you can build flavors around it freely without worrying about pushing past your daily ceiling. But what I really love about zucchini as a kidney-friendly food is the nutrients it brings with that gentle mineral profile. Zucchini is a respectable source of manganese, a trace mineral that supports your body's natural antioxidant enzymes. It also carries vitamin C, vitamin A, and a meaningful amount of the carotenoid pigment called lutein, which protects the small blood vessels that feed your nephrons from oxidative damage. That is the first lever doing its work: less oxidative pressure inside your filters. There is also a practical reason zucchini deserves the spotlight. For anyone who loves pasta but has been told to watch their carbohydrate intake, or who simply wants to lighten the load on their digestive system, zucchini noodles are one of the most popular substitutes in modern kidney-conscious cooking, and they work beautifully. Spiralize a fresh zucchini, sauté it for 2 or 3 minutes in olive oil with pressed garlic and a pinch of dried oregano, and you have a warm, satisfying base that behaves like comfort food while delivering almost none of the mineral load of wheat pasta. The biggest mistake I see with zucchini is also its biggest strength abused. People love to drown zucchini in melted cheese. A 1/4 cup of shredded Parmesan adds roughly 200 milligrams of sodium and over 150 milligrams of phosphorus to a single serving of an otherwise clean vegetable. Suddenly, the food that was helping your kidneys is contributing to the very burden you are trying to reduce. Skip the cheese, use fresh herbs, a light drizzle of good olive oil, and let the natural flavor of the zucchini itself come forward. It is a quiet, mild vegetable, and that mildness is actually the point. Vegetable number 4 is green beans, and I want to give them the credit they deserve because they often get overlooked next to showier vegetables. But for kidney health, green beans are quietly exceptional. Start with what they do not contain. Green beans are low in potassium compared to almost any other bean in the grocery store, where a half cup of kidney beans might deliver 350 to 400 milligrams of potassium. A half cup of cooked green beans delivers closer to 90 milligrams. That is one of the most patient mineral profiles of any vegetable on the shelf. They are also low in phosphorus and low in sodium when you buy them fresh or frozen and prepare them yourself. But green beans bring something to your plate that the previous vegetables did not, and that is a substantial amount of folate, along with a healthy dose of vitamin K. Folate matters enormously for kidney patients because research shows that as many as 40% of patients with stage 3 or stage 4 chronic kidney disease run deficient in folate, mostly because their diets have shrunk as so many foods have been restricted out of caution. Folate is essential for red blood cell production, for DNA repair, and for keeping your cardiovascular system running smoothly. Vitamin K supports proper blood clotting and bone health, both of which become real concerns when kidney function declines. And that gut connection is something I want to spend an extra moment on because most people never hear it mentioned. Your gut microbiome, the trillions of bacteria living inside your digestive tract, actually produces waste compounds called uremic toxins as a byproduct of breaking down certain proteins. Those toxins flow from your gut into your bloodstream, and your kidneys are then responsible for filtering them back out. When your gut is unhealthy, the toxin load arriving at your kidneys every day climbs significantly. When your gut is healthy, that load drops. Research published in the journal Nephrology Dialysis Transplantation showed that patients with healthier gut microbiomes had measurably lower levels of two key uremic toxins and slower rates of kidney function decline over a 2-year follow-up. So feeding your gut well is genuinely feeding your kidneys less work to do. The biggest mistake with green beans, and I see it constantly, is buying them canned. A single half cup of canned green beans can contain 300 to 500 milligrams of sodium because they sit in salty brine from the moment they are sealed. Buy them fresh, buy them frozen, or buy them dried and cook them yourself with herbs and garlic. Your kidneys will thank you. Vegetable number 5 is eggplant, and this is the one that surprises most of my patients when I recommend it, because eggplant has a reputation for being spongy and unfilling, but nutritionally, for kidney health, it is quietly outstanding. The skin of the eggplant, that deep purple outer layer that most cooks slice away and discard, is actually the most valuable part. That purple color comes from a pigment called niacin, an antioxidant that is part of the larger anthocyanin family. Niacin does something very specific that few other antioxidants do. It protects the cell membranes of your neurons and your kidney tissue from free radical damage. A study published in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry highlighted niacin's unique ability to shield lipid membranes from oxidative injury, which is significant because the delicate structures inside your glomeruli have fat-rich membranes that suffer when oxidative stress runs unchecked. Eggplant also brings a low mineral load. A half-cup serving contains around 120 milligrams of potassium and less than 20 milligrams of phosphorus, putting it firmly inside the safe zone for most kidney patients. And eggplant is one of the most satisfying vegetables you can eat on a kidney-conscious plan because it has a naturally meaty, hearty texture that other low-mineral vegetables sometimes lack. That textural satisfaction matters more than most people realize because it keeps you from feeling deprived and reaching for higher mineral substitutes later in the day. Slice it into thick rounds, brush it with olive oil, sprinkle it with dried rosemary and cracked black pepper, and roast it in the oven at high heat until the edges go golden and creamy. The most common mistake with eggplant is frying it, because frying strips away most of the water content, concentrates whatever minerals it does carry, and often comes with salty breading or batters that double or triple the sodium load of a single serving. Bake it, roast it, grill it. Do not fry it. Now let me introduce you to a patient I will call Mr. Robert. He came into my office at 68 years old with a creatinine that had crept to 1.7, a glomerular filtration rate hovering near 48, and 3 of his grandchildren in the waiting room he was hoping to see graduate from high school. He had been told his kidney function was in stage 3 territory. He was afraid, and he was eating the way too many Americans over 60 eat, which is heavy on bread, heavy on processed meats, light on real vegetables, and seasoned with a salt shaker that lived next to his stove for the better part of 4 decades. I told him what I am about to tell you. We were going to add things to his week, not take much away at first. We were going to use his fork as a daily therapy. But before I tell you how his story ends, I want to make sure you hear the other half of this, because knowing which vegetables to eat is only half the equation. Knowing which preparation mistakes can undo all of it is the other half, and honestly, it might be the more important half. Let me walk you through them in the order I see them wreck patient outcomes. The most dangerous mistake of all is the salt substitute sitting in your pantry right now. Most patients who have been told to cut back on table salt go to the grocery store and buy something labeled no salt, light salt, or potassium salt because it sounds like the smart choice. But your kidneys are struggling to clear potassium right now. Pouring extra potassium chloride into your food through a salt substitute can push your blood potassium above the safe range, and that is a situation that disturbs your heart rhythm and, in severe cases, can actually become a cardiac emergency. Hyperkalemia, the medical name for that danger, sends close to 1 million patients to emergency departments every year. The National Kidney Foundation warns about potassium-based salt substitutes directly in their published guidelines. Unless your kidney specialist has explicitly told you a particular substitute is safe for your specific stage, throw it out today. Use fresh herbs, fresh garlic, fresh lemon juice, and cracked black pepper instead. Train your taste buds off salt in 2 to 3 weeks, and your food will start tasting like food again for the first time in years. The second mistake is sodium hiding in plain sight. A single tablespoon of regular soy sauce contains around 900 milligrams of sodium. Many jarred pasta sauces carry 400 to 600 milligrams per half cup. Bottled salad dressings typically deliver 250 to 400 milligrams per 2 tablespoon serving. Pre-seasoned rice mixes, soup cups, deli meats, jarred vegetables, all of these products carry sodium numbers that quietly erase the benefit of every kidney-friendly ingredient you added. Sodium raises your blood pressure, and high blood pressure is the number 2 cause of kidney failure in the United States. Read every label. Cook from scratch. Your kidneys are counting on you to read every label. The third mistake is boiling these vegetables to death. For the kidney-friendly vegetables I have just walked you through, boiling for long stretches destroys vitamin C, breaks down the protective pigments, and strips your food of the very antioxidants you bought it for in the first place. Steam quickly, roast at high heat, sauté, or eat raw. Do not boil these vegetables into gray mush. So let me bring Mr. Robert back. 6 months passed. He did not buy a single supplement. He did not join a program. He simply put these 5 vegetables into his weekly routine. Onions went into every dinner he cooked. Cucumber slices lived in a container in his fridge for afternoon snacks. Zucchini noodles replaced pasta twice a week. Green beans came roasted alongside his Sunday chicken. Eggplant made its way into the oven whenever he grilled for his grandchildren. He threw out his potassium salt substitute the afternoon I told him about it. He traded his jarred pasta sauce for a simple olive oil and garlic base he could whip up in 5 minutes. When his labs came back, his creatinine had settled from 1.7 back to 1.4. His filtration rate had held steady at 52 rather than continuing its downward slide. His blood pressure had come down from 152/94 to 134/81. Nothing was cured. The nephrons he had already lost were not coming back. But the filters he still had were holding the line, and the inflammation and pressure that had been chewing on them had quieted down. His nephrologist told him that if he stayed the course, his kidneys would likely outlast him. That is not a miracle. That is what happens when you stop punishing an organ you need and start supporting it with what it actually asks for. Now I have to draw one careful line. Food is powerful support, but food never replaces your doctor. If your creatinine is climbing quickly between labs, if you are producing very little urine, if your legs and face are swelling despite your best efforts at limiting fluid, if you are short of breath or profoundly exhausted in a way that sleep does not fix, those are not symptoms to manage with vegetables. Those are reasons to call your doctor today. And if you are already on dialysis or in stage 4 or 5 kidney disease, every food choice needs to be individualized with your care team, because your daily potassium and phosphorus ceilings are tighter than mine were for Mr. Robert, and what is safe for one stage can be dangerous in another. Here is what to do this week. On your next grocery trip, pick up onions, cucumbers, zucchini, green beans, and eggplant before anything processed goes into your cart. Tonight, wash your vegetables. Slice the cucumbers and eggplant into a sealed container at eye level in your refrigerator, so they are the easiest thing in the house to grab. Throw out any salt substitute sitting in your spice cabinet unless your kidney specialist specifically prescribed it. Replace your salt shaker with a small bowl of fresh garlic cloves, a few jars of dried herbs, and a lemon. And finally, pull out your last lab report and write down your creatinine and your filtration rate somewhere you will see them every day, so that when your next labs come back in 3 months, you can look at those numbers and see whether the quiet work you have been doing is paying off. None of this is a miracle. Your kidneys were never asking for one. They were asking for the steady, patient, daily support that keeps them working a little less hard today so they can keep working for you tomorrow.